Hey everybody, today is September 28th, 2023, and today we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin and where I see Bitcoin headed for the month of October. Before we begin, please read the disclaimer. You can pause this video as you read it. Okay, so basically where we left off last time was our monthly prediction for the month of September, and I said for the month of September, and you can watch this in the last video if you want more details, but basically my summary was that after this big flush downward, I thought that the price of Bitcoin would basically go sideways this month, right? I basically said the bulls are going to try to defend 26,000, and they're going to try to absorb the supplies to the best of their abilities, and hopefully we can build a base, right? A base in which we can start to move higher, right? Sort of like what we saw after we had a flush down following the collapse of FTX, right? We basically moved sideways for just over 2 months before moving higher after we built this space of support, after the bulls absorbed all the supply from the bears, and basically the move was in the bulls' favor as it exploded higher, right? So now, I think that the month of October, we're going to see a continuation of that movement, but I think what we're going to see is the bulls are going to try to put in some work and make higher lows, right? Building a base of support, something like this, right? Before we eventually squeeze higher towards the end of the year, right? Now, of course, this could squeeze higher in October, but I'm trying to be a little more conservative now and not do. Obviously, we've seen Bitcoin squeeze higher on these moves, right? The regional bank crisis, and of course here. But yeah, trying to be conservative more, and I think that the conservative scenario is we just move sideways a little. Well, I guess not sideways, but the bulls will try to build a base, which we've already tried to push up higher, but we got rejected. So I think the bulls are going to keep pushing higher, trying, but as long as we make higher lows, I think that's going to be a good thing, right? That's going to be, to me, an optimistic signal that we might squeeze up higher towards at least the middle to the end of October and into November, right? So that's what I'm looking for the month of October in summary. So let's look at other factors that we might have to take into consideration, right? By the way, this is my Twitter page, or X as it's called now. You can follow me on @EddieLux_. And basically my last update on September 20th was saying that we need to reclaim the 200-week simple moving average, right? This is a very crucial level because historically Bitcoin has stayed above the 200-week, right? This is back in 2015. This is back during 2019. Of course, the pandemic crash, COVID crash here, and now we're sort of like zigzagging in and out, right? Above or below the 200-week, right? And right now we're below the 200-week, but Bitcoin again trying to make a move to reclaim the 200-week, right? Very crucial level. But yeah, we're about to close the monthly candle. Let me get a cleaner chart, a little tight over here. Yeah. So we had 2 consecutive red monthly candles in a row, and we're trying to close the September monthly candle as a green candle, right? And hopefully that it will be a nice signal that the market is ready to reverse higher, right? And if you think about it, we've really been building this base, this stair-step pattern over this year, right? And resistance here and support here. And if we can hold this level, perhaps we can break out of this consolidation phase that we've had for pretty much this, at least half a year so far, right? Another thing to think about is interest rates, right? Interest rates are important because interest rates affect the stock market, and Bitcoin has become more and more correlated with the stock market as more institutional adoption has occurred, right? Now, the thing about inflation is that the inflation rate, CPI data, has gone up over the last 2 months, right? Most recently, so basically when we peaked last year around June at 9.1, and then we started going down until about exactly a year, right? June of this year. And now in the last 2 months, we've had a bit of a bounce, a spike in inflation, right? You probably noticed that gas prices has gone up too as well. So hopefully this is just a temporary bounce and we basically continue down lower, right? And the next CPI report is on October 12th. And that will probably affect the Fed's decision to either raise or pause rates. I don't think they're going to cut this year, but I think that as long as inflation starts to cool and we start to see the trend down, I think that the market will be positive. It'll react positively as they will believe the Fed will likely not hike in the future, right? Because one of the reasons why we saw Bitcoin go down over the last several weeks, right? This is a stock market. When the Federal Reserve said they were pausing rates for the month of September, but they said they would leave open the possibility of raising rates if inflation continues to rise higher. And right now we have 2 months where the inflation rate has basically gone up, right? So we really need to see the CPI data, the inflation data come down, right? Because I think that if not, I think that's going to negatively affect the market, and that's going to drag Bitcoin down with it, right? But Bitcoin right now is trying to recover, trying to break out of this base right now, right? But I do think that we'll probably, like I said, probably continue to form a base, but it's ever inching higher, right? And once we reclaim the 200-day moving average, this blue line, I think once we reclaim it, I think we should explode higher and try to break through this next Fibonacci resistance level around 30,000, right? Which is what we tried to do earlier this year twice, but failed. So let's look at other data. Fear and greed is at fear right now, which of course is always a great opportunity to potentially buy. Not saying you should buy right now, but this is when you want to start thinking about, getting into a position if you believe that it is a good, time, right? You generally don't want to buy when it's extreme greed, right? It's better to buy here because the risk reward is a lot better. Sorry, this is a stock market. I'm talking about this here, Bitcoin, right? Yeah, stock market also is in fear, but yeah, stock and Bitcoin are both in fear right now. So yeah, generally it's better to buy when it's in fear. I'm not saying this is not financial advice. I'm not saying you have to buy now, but this is the time to consider buying, to start watching, right? Because it can still go down lower to extreme fear. There's still room for it to come down, right? But generally the risk reward is better when there's fear in the market than greed, right? Now, hash rate has been continuing to climb, right? As you can see, this is the last several years, and it's just all-time highs. No matter, this is the price of Bitcoin, right? Even though we've had a big crash from the 2021 top, the hash rate continues to climb, meaning that the more miners are continuing to participate, right? So this is good for the network, makes it more secure. Let's look at other indicators. So this chart is the 2-year multiplier. This gives you an idea of a good time to buy and a good time to sell, right? When the price of Bitcoin is below this green line and it becomes shaded, it's generally a good time to buy. And as you can see, historically, this indicator, this chart has been a good chart in terms of telling you a profitable place to buy, right? And also to sell when it gets close to this orange-red line, right? So right now, this is the longest time we've been under this green line. So of course, again, this is not financial advice. I'm not saying you should have to buy here, but historically, this is generally a good time to buy, right? And this is what I'm using. This is one of the tools I'm using to see whether I want to buy or not, right? And heads up, I am personally buying. I've been buying for a while during the whole bear market, but definitely during this pullback, I've been adding to my positions, right? Here's the Pi cycle top indicator. Pi cycle top indicator gives you a good idea of when to sell, but it also gives you an idea of when the bottom is, right? Bottom usually is in when the price of Bitcoin on this indicator is below the orange line, right? And when it starts to cross above the orange line and it starts to go up in an uptrend like we saw here, 2016, 2017, and here 2019, 2021, and now, right, we're in 2023 to potentially 2025, right? As long as it remains above this orange line, right now it's below it a little bit, but that's because we had that pullback, right? I do think that the price right now is starting to rip hop higher. I think that eventually we're going to go above this orange line, and it's going to be good to go. As long as we are still in an uptrend and we are able to stay above the orange line, that is generally a bullish signal, right? That we are in a bull market. And of course, here we have a confluence of different indicators. These are all different models and forecast tools, all just basically put onto one chart, right? And so just to give you an idea, you have all these different, right? Delta top cap, balance price, terminal price, and this gives you the idea of where, based on different people's specifications, their charts, where they believe the top or the bottom of Bitcoin is. So generally speaking, things are looking very similar to previous cycles, right? We generally seeing that the Bitcoin has probably bottomed, right, during the FTX debacle last December. And right now, the price of Bitcoin does seem to be following something like the move of 2016 to 17 versus the echo rally, echo bubble that we saw, a huge spike and then basically flat of the last cycle. And again, this echoes my, no pun intended, my view for a while now that I believe that this cycle price action resembles the 2016-2017 bull market versus the 2019 to 2021 bull market, right? Where we had, again, the echo rally and then flat, like these huge sprints and then flat. Whereas this one seems like more of a slower move into a parabolic rise, right? See how, so I do think that that's the pattern we're seeing this time. And it makes sense if you think about, like, let me just get a clean chart very quickly. It makes sense if you think about the rate of adoption, right? Institutions are coming in now. They're trying to get ETFs, spot ETFs approved. If that is the case, I do think that this will probably take some time to grind sideways until it's approved, and then we might see a next spike higher. But it's probably going to happen gradually, like we saw in 2016, 2018, like a gradual into parabolic versus just a sprint, right? Like we saw in the last cycle. So yeah, so this is that forecast is saying that we are similar to 2017, 2008 to 2016 to 2017, right? We're taking a slower move higher versus a sprint, right? So another thing to look at is also my dollar index. Guess I don't have the dollar in here. That's weird. Where did my dollar go? Oh, it's right there. I didn't see it before. Anyways, the dollar index has basically, look at this. This is the monthly chart, right? It's basically up 11 months in a row, right? The last time we had that many months in a row was back here, 2015, 14. So almost 10 years ago, right? So I do think that we'll probably see at least a reversion to the mean, to the downside, right? And if the dollar does come down, that could probably put, again, the dollar is inversely proportional. It moves inversely to the price of Bitcoin. So when the dollar is weak, Bitcoin is strong, and it'll probably give more fuel and ammo for the price of Bitcoin to continue up higher, right? Because we basically been, I mean, look at this. We're overbought on the dollar, right? So I can see it coming down, at least trying to retest the previous resistance level, right? To try to see if we can find support. And if that comes down, I do see the price of Bitcoin moving up higher to 30,000, right? So overall, things look pretty good as long as we're able to hold this level, right? It looks like Bitcoin is trying to make a break higher. So here's what, so just to summarize, for the month of October, what I want to see is I want to see sort of like a ascending triangle pattern, right? We've taken time to build a base in September. Now we want to continue to build that base, slowly inching higher, right, until we explode higher into either at the end of October or into November, right? So that's basically what we want to see. It looks like Bitcoin is trying to make that pattern right now, trying to turn this into a higher low, right? And the only way we're able to confirm this is if we don't break below this level. So 26,000 to me is the next level that we want to see hold as support. And so that's what I'm looking for the month of October. But also in October, they're going to be CPI report, like we said. The trend right now is that since June, inflation rate has gone up. We want to see it start to come down in September. Otherwise, I believe the stock market is going to react negatively, and that could drag the price of Bitcoin down with it, right? Because if inflation continues to trend higher, it's possible that the Fed can continue to raise interest rates to try to thwart that, right? So we definitely want CPI to be cooler than expected. But other than that, also another potential tailwind is if the Bitcoin spot ETFs are approved, right? But again, the SEC, Gary Gensler, keeps delaying that. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. But for now, the technicals look pretty decent. But like I said, there's still a lot of tail risks, a lot of headwinds that we just talked about. And technically, we want to see the price of Bitcoin reclaim at least the 200-day moving average, right? And again, like I said, on my Twitter post, we want to see it reclaim the 200-week on the longer term view, right? Still below the 200-week, just barely below it, but we want to go above towards 30,000, right? And 30,000 is going to be that next level. And again, why is 30,000 important? Because 30,000 was a major level of support on our last bull market cycle, right? 2021. And then we broke it over here and we plunged down. And now the market is trying to take its time and a considerable amount of effort to reclaim the 30,000. So 30,000 is what we want to see over the next couple months is we reclaim 30,000 and hold that level before we go higher. So yeah, that's my view for what I believe the price of Bitcoin is going to go for the month of October. And we'll come back at the end of October, November to see where I believe Bitcoin is going to go in November. And hopefully we have more data, more information, more news regarding the Fed, CPI, inflation, and of course the price of Bitcoin. And I'll keep you updated as all that comes out and the price of Bitcoin develops going forward. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it useful, helpful, informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. Appreciate all your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.